Have you ever stopped and looked at the glass in your hand and wondered what if what's holding your water is the very reason your salah isn't being accepted? Sounds extreme, maybe. But in the Deen of Islam, no detail is too small when it comes to pleasing Allah. From the purity of our bodies to the vessels we eat and drink from, everything matters. Today, we're diving deep not just into water, but into a world that most Muslims never even think about. The hidden rulings behind the bowls, cups, and containers we use every single day. What's halal, what's haram, and what can silently harm our worship without us even realizing it. This isn't just a fiqh discussion, it's a wake-up call. Because on the day of judgment, even the things we thought were insignificant will testify for or against us. Welcome to Islamic Echoes. Let's purify our lives, starting from the vessels we hold. Let us begin with something so commonplace in our daily lives that it's almost invisible to us. Our utensils. The cups from which we drink, the plates from which we eat, the spoons and forks we place in our mouths. Have we ever wondered whether the material they are made of could affect the acceptance of our worship? In Islam, everything is governed by intention, action, and purity. And purity is not only physical, it is deeply spiritual. Imagine placing your food into a bowl made from the skin of a pig. Would you eat from it, even if the food inside is halal? Most likely, you wouldn't. Why? Because your instinct, shaped by your faith, immediately tells you something's wrong. But what about a leather pouch, a designer bag, or a decorative item made from animal skin? Do you stop and ask, was this from a halal animal? Was it slaughtered properly? Has the hide been tanned? These questions may seem too specific for some, but in the eyes of a conscious Muslim, there are signs of taqwa, awareness of Allah, in every detail in our tradition. The skin of animals plays an important role, especially in the production of containers, pouches, and even bags in which items are stored. But Islam makes distinctions. If the skin comes from an animal like a pig, a dog, or a predatory beast, such as a lion, then regardless of whether it has been tanned or not, it remains najis, impure, and is completely haram to use. You can't store anything in it, eat from it, or benefit from it. And by extension, anything it touches can also become impure, unless thoroughly washed on the other hand. When it comes to halal, animals like cows, camels, and sheep, there are two important distinctions. If the animal was slaughtered in a halal manner, its skin is considered pure, whether it has been tanned or not. However, if the animal died naturally or wasn't slaughtered according to the Islamic way, the skin is considered impure, but it can become pure only after tanning. The Prophet Muhammad made it clear that tanning purifies the hide of a dead animal. So, yes, there's a process of transformation, but it's conditional and not automatic. Many of us might treat this as a side topic, but scholars of Islam spent years compiling rulings around it. Why? Because the believer doesn't take purity lightly. Purity is the foundation of worship. The prayer is not valid without wudu, and wudu is not valid without purity. And that purity can be invalidated, not only by physical impurity on the body, but by impurities in what we use during worship, even the vessel from which we make wudu. Let's now move from skin to metal. Gold and silver are not just ornaments. In Islam, they are part of a serious prohibition when it comes to daily usage. The Prophet Muhammad did leave us guessing on this one. He explicitly said, "Do not eat or drink from gold or silver utensils, for they are for them the disbelievers in this world, and for you in the hereafter." These words are powerful because they emphasize something many overlook. Our patience in the dunya guarantees our reward. In the akhirah, gold and silver are associated with luxury and pride. And when such luxuries become normalized in everyday activities like eating and drinking, arrogance and heedlessness often follow. That's why the Prophet Muhammad made it forbidden for both men and women to use utensils made of gold and silver. Whether it's a spoon, a fork, a cup, or a plate, the ruling remains the same. Even welding a crack in a utensil using gold is prohibited. Silver welding, however, is an exception, permitted due to an incident where the Prophet Muhammad used a silver link to repair his drinking vessel. This shows us that Islam is practical, but principled. Can we use the utensils of non-Muslims? Let's go even further. What if you're living in a non-Muslim household, or renting a dorm on a college campus where the previous residents weren't Muslim? What about using their plates, cups, microwaves, or even ovens? Is that permissible? The answer is yes, as long as the utensils are clean and free from najasa. The companions of the Prophet Muhammad went on expeditions and, in the aftermath of battles, They would acquire utensils from the non-believers as part of the spoils of war. They used them freely, and the Prophet Muhammad objected. This shows us that it's not about who owns the utensils, it's about what's in or on them. However, if there's a possibility that the utensil was used for something impure like cooking pork or containing alcohol, then it must be washed thoroughly before being used. This ruling comes from a hadith where the Prophet Muhammad said that if you can't find anything else, wash the utensil thoroughly and then use it. It's all about ensuring purity and being cautious. Without going to extremes, microwaves, ovens, and modern appliances now, let's bring this conversation into the 21st century. What about microwaves, ovens, or kitchen appliances that have been used to cook non-halal food? Can we use them? The same principle applies. We must be sure that no impurity is transferred to our food. If the appliance is clean, and there's no visible najasa, and no risk of cross-contamination, then it's permissible. But if pork or other haram substances were used in a way that might affect your food, like grease or splatter, then you must clean it thoroughly before using it. You are not required to throw away the entire appliance, but you are responsible for ensuring cleanliness. Now, let's address an interesting point that might confuse some. Suppose a person performs wudu, using water from a gold or silver container. Is the wudu valid? Islamic scholars differ slightly, but the most authentic opinion is this: the wudu is valid, because the water itself remains pure. However, the action of using a haram utensil is sinful. This distinction is very important. The sin lies in using a prohibited item, not in the act of purifying oneself. So, while the wudu counts, the person should seek forgiveness for using something haram. It teaches us how Islam doesn't collapse every mistake into complete invalidity, but rather balances legality with morality. Some may ask, why does it matter so much? Isn't this too much detail? But Islam is a faith built upon discipline and consciousness. Our Prophet Muhammad taught us to be aware of not just what we do, but how and why we do it. Even a seemingly small thing like a cup or a plate can carry spiritual implications when we are careless with what we eat from, what we cook in, or what we store our food and water in. We risk falling into negligence, and negligence is the door to sin. But when we purify our surroundings, we begin to purify our inner states. A clean cup becomes a mirror for a clean heart. A pure plate becomes the foundation for a prayer accepted. This is the lens of Allah, as if we see Him, even in the utensils we use. So the next time you pick up a plate or pour yourself a drink, pause for a moment. Ask, is this pleasing to Allah? Is it pure? Is it lawful? Because your kitchen is more than a place of food, it's a space of worship. It's a space where intention meets action, where discipline meets devotion. This is the way of a believer, not just ticking boxes, but living every moment as an act of ibadah. Whether it's choosing halal food, verifying purity, or ensuring that the utensils we use are permissible, we strive not for perfection, but for sincerity. And sincerity in small things leads to greatness in the eyes of Allah. If this video reminded you that even the smallest habits in our daily lives can impact our spirituality, then don't keep it to yourself. Share this message. Inspire your family and friends to think deeper about purity, about consciousness, and about devotion in the details. Subscribe to Islamic Ecos, where every video is a step closer to Allah. Turn on the bell so you never miss a moment that can transform your life. And if you found benefit in this, drop a comment below with Ya Allah, purify my actions and my surroundings. Let's echo faith one habit at a time.